that many really, because most of America is awake, guys. We're awake. You wouldn't know it from the COVID vaccination, unfortunately, but on another level, right? We are maybe a COVID vaccination was more of a wake up during that time frame where people were locked down. I went to events, had people contact me or in the chat. They were talking about how, during that time frame, they awakened by watching me. And I'm like, it wasn't me. I was sent here to do this, right? So, I have really good contact with Creator Source, and it's guiding me quite a bit. It guides me to do these shows. So when you see these shows, I use a lot of my intuition to go into areas that I feel are important to help awaken more people and to calm people. Because a lot of people say that, these shows help keep them focused and calm during these troubling times. So let's go into this. I don't want you to be troubled by it. It is what it is, right? Now, I've been in combat for, at one point in my life, like 8-10 years ago, it was over half my life was in combat zones. So not as much now. And I'm kind of happy about that. So I don't know. It's, I haven't even done the numbers, but at one time it was half and it's less now, right? So, but I got a lot of experience from that. I got to see, a portion of humanity that is extremely radicalized and affects a great portion of the rest of the population, right? And in a negative way. So what we're seeing right now, we're seeing a small portion, the deep state Nazi system that has influenced these people negatively, and it's just a small group of these people that have done this, right? And it is what it is. Those people, will they be able to be turned around? Sometimes you have to go through trauma, as I can tell you. The trauma that I went through, my training, helped me become a better man, better leader. So trauma situations, I've done fasting, extreme fasting, vision quest, and all kind of crazy stuff. So, I put myself through, and a lot of you have experienced, some extreme hardships, and that, helps you to become wiser, more spiritual, more of a critical thinker, more intuitive, all these different things that are very, very important going forward. But there's a vast group of the population, evidently, that has not had that. Now, some have. Like I said, I was, before Trump came in, I was friends with a lot of people that were like, we're like brothers and sisters, right? Absolutely. And then they got the Trump derangement syndrome. And it's like, how could they get so crazy? And it was the environment that they were educated in. They were educated in, or spent a lot of time in the educational system. The people that, that I saw that were extremely affected, right? So the educational system is there to influence people to go radical. Now, my daughter only spent 1 year in it. She spent a long period of time doing online courses. And then she, for the last portion, I think 1 or 2 semesters, something like that, to get her associate's degree. That time that she spent in California, I think it was LA area. I can't remember exactly which one, but I could see it changed her, right? Not for the better, right? Now she's extremely smart. And I think that probably helped her a lot, but she started having some opinions about things that were like, oh my God. So, and that's the way that system is. And I think she's kind of broken free from that thinking over time now. But maybe she is, right? But she's been in cars like Uber drivers that picked her up, and they said, "Are you related to Michael Jaco?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm his daughter." They're like, "Oh my God!" So she gets exposure in certain things. She doesn't watch my shows, but occasionally she does, right? My son was extremely. He didn't go in the education system like me, and I did all myself, through the military and online and so forth as well. But he was always trying to help liberals wake up. He was great at friends that he was with and so forth. So it was good. I think that as we move forward, unfortunately, some of these liberals will get radicalized, right? Some of these NPCs will just go along and be radicals and so forth. Some of the morons will do moronic things, but that's to be expected. But they won't get very far, guys. I've been around these radical morons, throughout the world, fighting them. Eventually, they go down, right? So that's. But usually, go down fighting. Right? The real radical idiots, morons. All right, so let's look at some of the silliness that's out there about this no kings. Again, I'm just so sad that America's like this. It's a bad look for the rest of the world that Americans are doing this, and they see it on this level. So I wonder what they think is going to happen, because they are depending on America to basically, at some point, save them. Right? America's going to save the world, but America first. We have to save ourselves from morons. Right? So here you go, aerial views. You're going to see a lot of aerial views. They don't say which cities there are, which is kind of frustrating, but aerial views. No kings protest rock American cities. Millions revolt against Trump. Now, is some of this CGI? All right. I don't know. Right. I would hope so. I would hope there's really not this many people that are morons, right, about this subject, right? Not about everything. Like, I just want to be clear about that. But morons about this subject, right? And so we're just going to kind of walk through some of this. So you look at that, and is some of that CGI? Because we started catching that with Biden and Kamala from people going to their rallies and so forth. Remember the Trump 2020, and then 2023 or 2024, his rallies and events and so forth. They're just absolutely massive. There was no CGI needed, right? In fact, the press tried to suppress the information on that as much as they could. But here, are we seeing potentially CGI? When I look at this, I get the feel that maybe we are, right? So just keep that in the back of your mind too. We can be hopeful, right? All right, I know this is Boston because I'm going to pull Boston up. So it does seem fairly legit. All of the areas that are, having these protests, and as stupid as it looks, silly posters and all their little sayings, it's a bunch of morons, and she looks like a very nice lady otherwise, but she's got to go. She's full on moron about this.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
And the moronic chants, I hope the rest of the world and most of you look at this and go, yeah, those are morons. I'm not going to get all worked up about that, right? So that's what we're looking at for the most of it. Yes, and we aren't a democracy. We're a republic, although they have tried to say we're a democracy and push us into a democracy, which is basically ruled by the numbers. So these people are ruling perhaps their cities, maybe their states by the numbers. Their democracy, the Democrats, wherever they rule, or democracy, if they've really gotten the vote, which I think a lot of times they don't. There's not that many people voting for them. Although in New York City, as we're going to see with Mamdani, most of New Yorkers are Democrats. So, and a lot of these cities, most of the people are Democrats. So you're probably going to see stupid continue, unfortunately.
The nation, No Kings protests are underway, including right here in San Diego. We have live crews from the North County to downtown this morning. We are also covering a major event in the North County. Cam Pendleton welcoming the Vice President and Defense Secretary as they mark 250 years of the Marine Corps. We're going to have.
So President Trump was at the 250th anniversary celebration for the Navy, and now we have probably what's going to be for 8 years President Vance, Vice President Vance, of course, now, but he is a former Marine. And I saw his talk about this. There were tons of Marines there. Marines are amazing. I love the Marine Corps. And if I wasn't a SEAL, I would be a Marine. So the Marines are incredible. They're the best fighting force in the world, I believe. And he was there, very presidential looking. So he's warming everyone up for his eventual run, and I think very potentially 8 years of Vance in the future.
That part of our coverage in just a moment, but first, locally, there are at least 16 local No Kings protests spanning across.
So 16. Now, I don't know how big these were, and I don't know how many Republicans and independents and maybe some Democrats or former Democrats that are outside of this. Now, were there some Republicans in there? Probably rhino types, right? So very, very conceivably rhinos within the group. So, and maybe they're like, over exaggerating their Republicans too, of course. So I don't think this is a big deal. At this point, I'm watching for the violence. I'm not watching the NPCs and the morons, walk around and with their stupid signs and chanting their stupid slogans. It doesn't really matter to me. America is First Amendment first, right? And that's freedom of your views, freedom of your views. So now when the leftists were in office the last 4 years, there was no freedom of views. Now that the Republicans have come back, we again have freedom of views. So that's why I'm on YouTube. That's why I can do a show with Scott McKay like I did today on YouTube live, right? We have been restricted from YouTube for years, and that's because of the leftist morons. They took away our free speech. Now we're giving them their free speech back. They had free speech. They could, do this bullshit protest stuff all the time. So we protested. Of course, we had J6. We had a peaceful protest, and we ended up with J6. And FBI, 1,000 FBI agents coming in and like subverting it. Ukrainians coming in and subverting it. Capitol Police, obviously, part of the moron system, right? Subverting it. So we couldn't have protest. We didn't have free speech for 4 years, guys. And now we have it back again. And they still have it. They still have it. And they have it just as well, if not more, than when Biden was in there. But they're morons. They don't understand that, right?
County, from Borrego Springs to downtown. We have a live look right now from Sky Ranger 7 over the downtown rally, which is expected to be the largest of those rallies. Things got underway at 10 o'clock. They started with a few speakers talking to the crowd. You can see the crowd now. Those speakers have wrapped up their...
Now you can see there's a Native Nations banner right here. So I think this is kind of like a conglomeration of people with a bone to pick that are morons, pretty much, unfortunately. And I'm not saying the Native Nations are morons. I love Native Americans, and if you look at all of the smaller groups, like you have blacks and you have Hispanics, which are becoming even larger, the largest group at some point, I think, maybe. But American Indians, so minority groups in America, Native Americans are very Republican, and they're the ones that volunteer the most to fight for our country, right? Of course, they are very, part of this country and have been for eons. And unfortunately, we broke all of our promises, except for one, and that was that we're coming to take your land and destroy you. All right. So, I remember a buddy of mine that taught me a lot of stuff, taught me incredible American spirituality, and which is very, very connected to the Creator and the land and so forth. That took my spirituality to an unbelievable, way beyond what I ever expected it to go to. And he had a bumper sticker, and I've said this many times, but it's always good to bring it up. You can trust the American government. Ask any American Indian, right? So we have these useful idiots of the deep state that are, protesting. And our American government has basically brainwashed them. Now, the Trump administration, of course, is going after the educational system because it's corrupted, and he's taking it down. Now, the leftists have probably screamed their minds out, right? Their little tiny minds, because that's happening, and they see that as just another evil of the Trump administration. Whereas we are like, please fix that bullshit, right? So it is pretty crazy. Now, this goes on. You can see, I want to get it to a point where you can actually see just how big this crowd is. Pretty substantial. I guess the last one they had was around 70,000. And they're guesstimating this one, as you can see here, is probably at least that much, maybe more, probably the biggest one, right? So more people showed up for this one than the last one.
We will be here. We've been here all morning. We will continue until this march concludes. But
all right. So that's enough of that nonsense. But here is a former mayor of Coronado, like I talked about. And let's listen to what he has to say about the homeless. So while these people are walking the streets of San Diego protesting, like I said, I guess President Trump is trying to clean America up, make America great again, MAGA, right? It is very, probably all around them, they had homeless, probably in massive numbers. And I don't know, maybe they came in and cleaned the homeless out so they could do the protest. I don't know, guys, but it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad indeed. All right. San Diego, what has become of you?
The number of homeless people in the entire country was about 650,000. So how many would you guess were homeless as of 2023? 1 million, 2 million, 5 million? The answer was still about 650,000. So if the national number didn't change very much, why does it feel so much worse in cities like San Diego, Los Angeles, or New York? While most states saw declines or stability in homeless rates from 2014 through 2023, California and New York saw their numbers skyrocket, despite spending more money on homelessness than ever before. Here in San Diego, we saw a continued spike in 2024 with a modest decrease in homelessness in 2025, but we're still near historic highs. So the question remains, why is this problem getting so much worse in places spending the most to solve it? It turns out that the states with the biggest increase in the homeless rate over the past decade tend to have.
Now, the Trump administration has already found out that there's money laundering going on, and the money that was supposed to be spent on the homeless has gone into other people's pockets. So they're already disclosing that, already finding that out, and they're already making cases about it. So we're gonna, the morons are gonna find out, right? And will it affect them? Will they still protest when they find out that their cities are shitholes because the people that were in leadership positions, Democrats, were basically stealing that money and then giving it to other people within their circle so that they could also steal it and enrich themselves while the homeless crisis continues? Now, we make some other good points, and this is the way I think the homeless crisis is going to be resolved.
Policies in common. Number one, loose drug laws that allow for the open use of hard drugs such as heroin, fentanyl, and meth, which keep addicts trapped in addiction and allows dealers to prey on the addicted. Number two, weak property crime enforcement, which allows people to steal to fund their habit with little consequence. And number three, a philosophy that attempts to provide permanent housing at a very large expense to taxpayers without requiring treatment or any other steps towards positive life choices for homeless individuals. I'm Richard Bailey, former mayor of Coronado, and I'll be doing a video series that deep dives the homelessness issue here in San Diego, as well as policy changes to address it.
All right, so loose laws in California, in all the liberal states, like I talk about, they're just laissez-faire. Just, it'll fix itself. Just let it be what it is. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. That's their stupid, moronic attitude, right? So this is the problem in this system that they have been able to foist upon us, and eventually, over time, dumb down, moronicize large portions of the population. So, like I said, there were a lot of people during the COVID lockdown that started doing research. They'd never really had the time to do it before. They're just locked into their jobs, getting brainwashed by the system, slave driven. And now a lot of them are waking up. So we could possibly see more in the future. So a lot of you guys are saying very few protests here. That's good. The methadone and Suboxone is more addictive than the street drugs. Milo, that's true, because my son was on both of those. So he switched from one to the other, and then eventually we took him and did an Ibogaine treatment. Ibogaine should be legal throughout the United States. The reason why it's not is because they profit. The drug traffickers, the cartels, and the mayors and the political system and governors, they all profit on this drug addiction, guys. And so they keep it going. Now, my son went to do methadone in Mexico in what was that luxurious place we went to? I can't think of it now, but it was a nice vacation for me. But it was tough getting him there, guys. He was on his last legs, so we got him over there. He got completely off, and that's impossible to do because he was at high doses of Suboxone, and it was, he'd sneak other drugs in. It was crazy. So we got him over there. He was completely clean. He stayed clean for a long time, and then he went back down. He, like a lot of addicts, he got back on, got him clean again. He was clean for a long time. He was using LifeWave and doing really good. And then he slipped, and he told me one time that he made sure that he would take a little micro doses of fentanyl, because if fentanyl got into some of his drug, then it would kill him. So because he was clean for such a long time, when he fell off the wagon again, unfortunately, and I wasn't aware of it, he was using, and he got some fentanyl that killed him, right? And that's what President Trump is trying to do. He's trying to shut down the drug trafficking into America, which will collapse the Democrat Party, because they're very reliant on a lot of money laundering. And one of the major ones is drug trafficking. The other one is human trafficking, and especially human trafficking of children. So the 300,000 children that went missing in America during the Biden administration, I think they've only found 11,000 of them. And the conditions which they found them in were so horrible, they're not relaying the conditions they found them in. That's what I'm hearing in back channels, right? So that alone, the 300,000 missing children, that alone should be enough for the morons to wake up, you would think. But no, they're out there demonstrating in the city still. It's disgusting to me, right? So from that point on, they don't have any say with me. They can't argue anything with me. And then there's the drug trafficking, of course. I have horrific experience with that. So I want to see it go away. I want to see the human trafficking go away, first of all, and I want to see the drug trafficking go away, right? We can do it, but not with those morons in these big cities making decisions, right? So let's look at a little bit more, and then hear from some stupid people that are at these, so we get a kind of a feel for what we're up against, right? So with this knowledge, we can overcome and defeat. So this is a protest in Detroit. So Detroit is basically a destroyed city by the Democrats already. It looked like they might be making a comeback, but from some of your comments, those of you who are around or in Detroit still, I don't know, you're telling me that no, Detroit is not good at all. And which is sad. Detroit was the second most prosperous city at one time in America. So here's the one in Boston. Now in Boston, you have a mayor that's very corrupt, I believe, Chinese woman, and maybe just Chinese descent. I don't know. Now the Luciferian groups are, they basically made it one of their conventions in her honor, right? But that's not because she's a pro-Luciferian. It's because she won't let them, do their flags and say their scripts. So in that regard, maybe I can, or maybe you guys can convince me that you guys in Boston can tell me more information. I would like that, because we're not finding out online, because they're definitely, you have to be able to, have contacts at this point. That's why I like to have you guys in the chat, make your chats, the great conversations that happen in the chat. And then I go in and look at some of the comments afterwards to kind of get a feel, for what's going on out there. You guys are for giving me some great insight. So thank you.
Have started to leave, especially right after Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senator Ed Markey spoke, and then even more after the reps took the stage and then stepped down. So certainly this is a massive event that's taking place here on Boston Common today. But as you mentioned, it's...
I mean, you know, is that a very big representation of Boston? Did people come from other areas? They're not citizens of that are not citizens of Boston. So that's a possibility. So some of these people that we're seeing here maybe aren't Bostonians. They're maybe from some other areas. But, you know, I know there are people there because they're indirect family members, right? That are pretty leftist, right? So I wouldn't say they have Trump derangement, but they're not fans, you know. So did they show up? I don't know. But when I look at something like this, if it's a high representation of Boston, and I've already said this, already intuited that Boston would be one of the lost cities. So when you see big numbers like this could be where we're going to see cities that are going to be lost.
One piece of a very large effort across the country to make their voices heard and try and show their displeasure with its current federal administration. We've heard from so many people today. Come back tonight at 6 o'clock here on NBC 10 Boston. We'll have a recap of what we heard on the stage right behind me and what may come up within the next half hour or so. I've been told they're planning on being about 30 minutes behind schedule, so 3:30 or so for this thing to wrap up. For now, though, on the Boston Common, Matt Pritchard, NBC 10 Boston.
All right, Matt, thank you for that view from the crowd there. And that band that's playing called the Sheila Divine is the Run of Show's last planned performer. They're based on the event rundown, so we'll definitely be keeping tabs.
And also determination in their hearts that we have to stand together and keep speaking out when laws are broken, when people are put in harm's way. This is a community and a city.
All right, we have to stand out. This is the moron talk. We have to stand out when laws are broken. I want to bring this little moron up so she can speak and say her moron words. But when laws are broken, so illegal immigration, that's not a law broken.